Are you putting on the heart of Christ? Putting on the heart of Christ is an ongoing journey in this life. Putting on the heart of Christ is also a response to Christ's invitation to intimacy. This journey will not end in this life because we will never reach perfection in this life. Even though we never reach perfection in this life, God no longer condemns us in Christ Jesus. In Christ, God has already accepted us and welcomed us. He no longer condemns us even though we are not perfect in this life. While God does not condemn us, Paul urged all believers to resist Adam's sin in this life. Although we have died with Christ, this death is not physical but spiritual. We know this spiritual death does not remove the presence of Adam's sin in our mortal bodies because we are commanded to resist it. Our spiritual death enables us to walk in the newness of life. This spiritual death certainly means we will have a physical resurrection just like Christ. God will remove the presence of Adam's sin from our mortal bodies when we die and resurrected physically. Meanwhile, this spiritual death with Christ set us free from the enslaving power of Adam's sin in our mortal bodies. Having experienced spiritual death with Christ, we are spiritually alive with Christ today. Since the resurrected Christ lives for God, all who are spiritually alive are to consider themselves dead to Adam's sin and alive to God. Considering ourselves dead to Adam's sins means we are to resist the reign of Adam's sin in our mortal bodies. Resisting the rule of Adam's sins means we refuse to obey the passion stirred up by the presence of Adam's sin in our mortal bodies. We do not allow the passion stirred up by Adam's sin in our mortal bodies to use our hands, legs, and parts of our mortal bodies to do what is wrong before God. Instead, we surrender the parts of our body to God and allow Him to use our hands and legs and parts of our body to do what is right before Him. This form of resisting means that we have to put in our effort to make changes in our life. This struggle to resist Adam's sin is ongoing. Putting on the heart of Christ will require us to struggle with Adam's sin in our mortal bodies. The good news is we do not struggle alone. Christ lives in our mortal bodies. Therefore, we struggle with Adam's sin in the presence of Christ. God and Christ do not condemn us when we struggle with the passion stirred up by Adam's sin in our mortal bodies. In Christ, we are already redeemed and sanctified by the blood of Christ. God already accepts us unconditionally in Christ. Therefore, God will not reject us even when we are struggling to obey Him or when our obedience is not perfect. Instead, Christ offers us His grace to train us to put on His heart. Christ's gift of grace will lead us to the realization God's love for us holds even when we sin. In summary, God's love calls us beyond what traps us and invites us to accept the gift of spiritual intimacy. This gift of spiritual intimacy is also the gift of grace to train us to put on the heart of Christ. Have you accepted Christ's gift of spiritual intimacy? If you are encouraged by this video, write your comments below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to this channel to receive notification of new videos. Thank you for watching.